What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Streak Breaker's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the seed from, what is it, Studio Cell, or I don't know. Whatever new name Zeta's going by. And the reason why I say Streak Breaker is because I'm scared to death I'm going to break this thing because I broke the Unicron. But I am going to take a couple precautions with this guy as to try and not break him. And not because he belongs to me, but more importantly because he was sent to me by my good friend Scott M. And I want to send it back the same way I found it, which is in one piece. Now, I know what you're thinking. This doesn't look quite right. You're right. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because this is how it comes in box, and it does take some kind of finishing off, so to speak, to get it the way that you would recognize it. And I wanted to take you through those steps first. Very similar to like how a Fans Toys product often comes. So we're going to go through step by step, and after we get finished with that, we'll take a look at accessories. So we'll start at the top and we'll work our way down. Now, in box, it comes with this flap sitting over top of the head. You can just open that up, grab the head, so to speak, and pull it up, lock it in. On the back, there's two pegs. You can see the silhouette of one right there. And then two ports on the back that will lock in. One, I want to make it so you can see it, hopefully. Two, and then these little cannons here are on ball pegs, and they can be posed sort of however you want. Move on to the arms. Obviously, he could use a hand, if you know what I mean. We'll flip this piece out here. Flip out, open that section there, which will bring the hand out and about. That comes down. It needs to, it's a tight little joint there. It needs to sit back so that this peg can tab in to the side. And then back here on the elbow, this panel needs to come and sit down. But this whole piece, it's hard to see, but there's two pegs. Let me see if I can't get you a better angle. There's two pegs here and here. This whole panel needs to rock down so that it will go into the elbow, and you need to do that on both sides. There's an extra panel in here that needs to flip out. Very challenging to get to, but then the knee will sit on that panel. And then on the calf, there's this whole section needs to tab in to the side there. It comes like a little untabbed. Do that to both sides. When you get him out of the box, his feet will look like this. Fold the toes out, and then do your best to try to get this heel out, which is giving me a little bit of trouble. There. Come on, girl. There we go. And then the only other thing that you have to do is make sure that these two tabs here connect with these two ports. And I will try and illustrate that, but a lot of these like connections are really tight, but you're gonna have to do that on both. So there it is, sort of kind of properly put together in terms of connecting all the pieces out of box. And now let's transition to accessories. He comes with an extra head sculpt. I think I prefer this one, honestly, but the good news is he comes with either. This one just swivels, it won't hinge up and down. Yeah, the silver paint there on the crest looks good. Good sculpt work. Love the details. I love the expression. Almost looks like statuesque, you know. And then inside here, and the face comes off too, I believe. We have this guy, and he just has his arms and legs rocked down like that. And it's like a little baby Alpha Trion. Sculpt work looks good, like on his eyes and face. It also gives you an idea of how big the robot should be with this guy, to be, in my opinion. Nothing for the head. We do have a waist swivel. Arms are on ball pegs, get you out to there. and around. Single hinged elbow on a ball peg. Same for the other side. Hips are on little, I guess they're hinges. Baby universals, really. Decent articulation, knee bend, etc., etc. Kind of like a you didn't have to, but you did kind of a thing. So I'm not mad at that. He comes with a wide array of things that you can add on. So these two are for the gimmicks. We'll talk about that here in a bit. These pads here are little stickies. They go in this ring. We'll talk about that in a bit to kind of give it like a, I don't know, a nice sitting thing. These yellow translucent pieces, there's 1 million of them, I think. I counted around 1 million. They can be clipped off and installed in him. I am not clipping them off. They do not belong to me. I'm not risking damaging one of them for one. I'm also not risking losing one of them by it falling out. And yeah, that's pretty much it probably. And then we have the city spikes. That's what I broke on Roberts last time, so I won't be putting those in either. But they're pretty. These are kind of like, I guess it's all like a guessing game because I don't see it in the instructions. And they're not like labeled or anything, but it's just off the sprue. So it's up to you from the sprue. Lastly, he comes with these 4 pieces, the Ring of Death. So you can start to assemble them. To form the ring. One ring to rule them all. Kind of looks Space Bridge-esque, which I dig, like aesthetically, you know what I mean? That's the bottom, this is the top. And this can be used in a number of ways. For one, these bits all come up, right, and they plug in. And that can be used to kind of support planet mode, which I do think is a cool idea. But in robot mode, you can flip these pieces down here, lift these pieces up a taste, and take any one of these 2 tabs here, and they plug into these 2 ports. And then he has the ring sitting on his back, and it is not great at all. It wants to pull away from it. It's not super stable. But if you need it for a display or whatever, like you can get it to work. It's not the best connection in the world. Gimmicks wise, he does have a light up feature if you have the batteries installed and everything, which they obviously don't come installed. You magnet on here and his head and like his eyes and crest light up, and then if you put the yellow stuff in and all that, like the chest will light up as well, which is a nice little feature. But wait, it gets worse. He also has these bits here that are like rocket firing him. I think it's on both sides. Yeah. So you can fire his missiles, which is cool. Especially because he doesn't have a gun. You know what I mean? So better have something, I guess he's got these 2 up here. So let's talk about the figure, and we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. And I think the head sculpt looks great. The eyes are a little dead. That's probably because of the light up feature, I'm guessing. But outside of that, I think it looks great. I think they nailed the kind of facial structure and all those components. I think the color breakup between the gray and the blue looks good. I like the gold kind of crest bit. The guns are on ball pegs, as I stated before, so you can kind of do anything you want with those within reason, obviously. And then the head is on a hinged swivel. So you can get up to there, which is actually kind of impressive, but you don't really get anything down, which is a bummer. And then you get the swivel left and right, and that's about it. Chest area wise, once again, I really like the sculpt. I love the sculpted detail. I think it looks great. Sculpted detail on the bigger bots always makes them seem larger, in my opinion. So the more kind of detail you pack into it, the better, in my opinion. I know everybody wants it to just look like flat pieces of glass now, but that's just not my preference, and I don't think it does much for larger bots. We have some paint accents with the blues and silvers and such, and a couple of like the yellow lights up there. In my opinion, kind of trying to tie in a bit of the Optimus motif. Let's take a look at swivels. So we have an upper torso swivel, which I actually appreciate. We have a lower torso swivel. Both of them are on soft ratchets. And then we have a hard ratchet, pretty impressive ab crunch. Let me see if I can get this shoulder out of the way. Pretty impressive. Surprisingly so, in my opinion, actually. Let's see here. All right, we'll take a look at the shoulder. Once again, sculpted detail looks great. I love the kind of popping through of this stuff from Cybertron, like out of the kind of core of the planet. I think that they did a good job with all incorporating all of that. The shoulder itself is on a universal, so you can get up to 90 degrees. Hope you can see that. You get around on a soft ratchet. It does start to beat up against the plastic a bit. This little bump out there starts to beat up against the plastic a bit, but it's okay. Bicep swivel. Fantastic double jointed. I don't know why I can't get that upper one to move. Elbow that gets you past 90 degrees. Pretty impressive there. I love the paint accents here, the little yellow, the blues, the grays, the silvers, all that works. And then we have the hands, ratcheted swivel. We have a bit of a hinge forward and back. It's not a whole lot, but there's a bit there. Thumb on a ball peg. Let me move this around for you. And then an additional hinge. And then all the fingers are individually articulated. The index finger, I'll show you, has a ball peg, secondary, tertiary hinge for complete articulation, which is pretty great. All right, move on to hips. So we have the hip skirts here, nice silver accents along the way. They all hinge out. And I'll try to show you. Ratchets, soft ratchets, but they hold well out to 90 degrees. Soft ratchet, holding well out to 90 degrees. Holding to 90 degrees. So, no issues there. Thigh swivel at a cut joint, but I can't get it to spin but one direction. So if you want the leg turned out, you have to go around the other way. And so that's kind of obnoxious. But it's achievable, so whatever. All right, we'll take a look at the lower legs. Drop it down just a taste here. Oh, love the details here. The sculpted details come through great. Silver, blue accents, orange translucents. You have the kind of rocket launchers here with the yellow and red painted on. All that looks fantastic. The side of the leg looks great with the yellow showing through, the blue paint, the city pieces. I think they did a great job. Double jointed knee for way past 90 degrees. And then ankles. So you can get an ankle tilt up, ankle tilt down, and then an insane rocker. So all of that works well. And then there he is from the back. And I will raise that up a bit so we can take a look together. But I mean, clean as a whistle. I was actually sort of surprised looking at him. I almost had to remind myself, like, this thing does transform, you know, because everything is really hidden away pretty well. A couple things I wanted to point out here. I like these red light up bits. I wish they were a little bit more vibrant, but I do like them. Size comparison wise, there it is with some chug offerings, you know, with like a Seeker coming up to its knees. Like that's my biggest issue with the Studio One stuff, or those whatever they're calling themselves, is like I don't consider myself to be like, you know, held captive by scale, but some stuff I need to be kind of significantly bigger, so to speak, and this is why this nut doesn't quite do it for me. But I'll show you a couple other options. There it is with New Age Megatron and Magic Square Optimus Prime, and I think that looks much better. You know, their combiners would come up to here, maybe their city bots would come up to there, and that would all work for me. Like, I could make that happen in my head, so to speak. And now I'll show you a couple masterpieces. There it is with a couple MPs, Magic Square Optimus Prime and Fans Toys Cliff Jumper. And to me, that's just it's just a little too small, in my opinion, for my collection. But I do like it a lot with the Legends. Let me show you one other thing. There it is with Titan class Scorponok, and that's kind of the issue with my collection specifically, is that like all of my Transformers are together. They're not like split up. So that to me is like a deal breaker, because it's about kind of the suspension of disbelief in a sense of like scaling. So like I'm even okay that like Scorponok is just a head taller than my combiners, because it still sort of sets the stage of like this is bigger than this is bigger than this, and this one is smaller. It's actually about the size of a combiner. So it just doesn't work for me scale wise, but I think it looks great with the Legends. All right, Jesus, take the wheel. Let's open this up here. You can pull these panels away. We're going to get this hand back inside. You can pull this tab out too. Just by doing the exact opposite thing that we did before. But remember, you need to have it so that this panel, this peg here, sits flat so that it has something to peg into. Oh, we're off to the races, aren't we? There. And then you can peg this in, keep the hand secure. All right. Now, these panels also need to come loose on both sides of the shoulder. And then you need to rotate the top elbow joint up and the bottom elbow joint down to offset the forearm from the bicep. And then you can rotate at the bicep and form these panels up. And there's tabs and dovetails on each side, and there's a number of hinges on each side. All right. Then let me get a spudger. You got to split this, and these will rotate there, and there. Spin this, connect these sections, and then just sit these here for the time being. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So peel back our forearm panels, open this up, open that tab there, flip this panel. These hands have to go in, but the hinge that's closest to the wrist has to flip 180. And that's so that this peg will face the appropriate direction. And then close that. All right. Open this panel on the shoulder, open that panel on the shoulder. Looking at the elbow, we want to bring the top joint up and the bottom joint down so that it's offset. All right. Spin the biceps so that you're looking at the panels, and then configure them in a way. There's a series of hinges that will allow you to get tabs in and dovetails in place. All right. Up here, you're probably going to need a spudger to split these two panels. God bless. Not easy. They fold back up against the shoulder. This whole thing rotates, so just move it as you need to. Alright. And I made all this come undone, but you already saw me do it right. And then you're going to spin that panel 180. And then connect these so that they form solid plates. Once again, we're just sitting that down by the arm. Untab the backpack collapse the head. You gotta pull these hip skirts out a taste on both sides. It's a very kind of subtle extension. But you need to do it. And then rotate. Make sure you rotate at the bottom joint. And then take your hip skirts here, and they flip up and sort of tab is a stretch, but they kind of notch, I would say, into the upper chest and upper back. Moving on to the foot. We have to untab the foot from that section that we showed in putting it together. You can bring that panel out and then spin the toe around. Then you have two panels at the bottom of the toes. And if you extend those all the way and then rock the toe down, this section here will tab in to the back of the heel. And then you want to just line this up, right, so that you're kind of creating the right kind of like surface for the planet. So let's go ahead and do that again. We're going to bring the foot out, spin it around, you tuck the heel in. This panel comes out from the toes, flips out ×2. The toe tucks down, and then this tabs in. Just got to find out where it is, to the part of the heel, and then you just got to line all that up. All right, we're going to get the large center panel done next. So untab this, and inside here will be two separate, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but there'll be two separate kind of large sections. We're just going to get those out of the way for now. And then you have to open up the knee, flip that one panel in that we already showed how to get out, and then you have to bring out this entire section. Now here, I hope you're ready for it, flap flipping fun. So pretty much, if you see a flap, flip it. And you have to slide this. You'll see there's a notch here and here, but the carve out piece is down, so you just have to slide it. And then connect all these pieces. And we're going to do the same on this side. You see a flap, flip it. Slide it so that it makes sense. Pretty intuitive. And then make sure all these pieces are connected. So we got to start getting things a little oriented. So we have to rotate the thigh to the right. But remember, this one doesn't rotate to the right. So we're going to have to spin it all the way around the other way. You can also get the leg out 90 degrees. That'll help you take a look at this anyway. Our next section here. So these panels need to come out and over, and they'll actually have two tabs here that will tab in on the opposite side on both. All right, and let's see if there's anything else we want to do before we have to rotate this leg up. This panel here, if you want to just make sure that you get as much of a grip on that as you can, kind of keep track of that. Probably want to rotate this section. I'm sorry, I know you can't see that. Let me adjust. This section here out to the front. And what we're going to do is bend at the knee. Oh, you know what? Almost forgot. In order to do this, we need to separate our crotch here. So then we can double hinge God bless, come that up. And then, let me rotate the camera, just want you to be able to follow along. Remember to keep track of that. Rotate that down and collapse it all the way in. Whew! All right. And then the only thing that you got to do is on this side, angle it down. Ooh. And I had it. I did everything I could. Okay. So that sits in there flush. As you can see down here, there's a hinge connected to the base where the foot is that comes out to another hinge. So you want to rotate there to get yourself some space, and you can rotate this out. This piece here splits in two, comes around, and forms up a very convenient space for the foot, right? So the question at hand, really, is just how do we get it around the foot? The only other thing that you want to take note of is down here on the bottom of the foot, there are two pegs that are tucked away. And we need to get those bad boys out. All right. So then it's just a matter of rotating on this base hinge here, back, and then forward, so that these come down and capture the side of the foot, and they'll tab in. And then this piece sits flush against there, so it's a smooth surface up here, and then your missiles, I think, rotate 180 degrees around and then sit on the inside. So we need to do the same thing on the other leg before we crunch this thing together. Rotate the 90 degrees, and then we'll flip this over and start working on all of our panels again. So this is the same thing as before. Let's see. So we got to untab our sections here. There's two. We'll just rotate them out and out. And this armature here rotates this to the front. We'll go ahead and utilize that now so we don't have to fight with it later like last time. Okay. This piece. Oh, we have to remember our knee. Flip that little panel in. Then this comes out. And all these panels, we flip them if we see them. And they slide down, if you recall, so that they'll line up. Same on this side. And tab them in. All right. On the opposite side, we have these blue panels here, if you recall. And they split open. I said they split open. There we go. 1 and 2. And they wrap around and peg back in to the side of the leg. All right. And now, let's see what we got to do here. We have to collapse this. So we're going to focus on bringing this joint up. And this knee has to collapse, right? So it's got to go spin this way so that it sits in there, right? But we have our work on our feet left to go. So we'll flip out this panel, or peg rather. Let me spin that a bit more on topic. And we'll flip out this peg. And if you recall, we have this section here. And the key to this is that hinge in the lower section, flipping it over, realizing that these two pieces split, right? And then just making sure that you are finagling this in a way that puts it in the right space. And it's eating me up. And it's because one of these hinges down here is really, really tight. It's that one right there that I'm having a hard time taking advantage of. Let me try to loosen that up a taste. There, I got it. I just had to use a little bit of caution. All right. Then this comes down, little notch, let the notch be your guide. And this comes around. That all pegs in. You have this one panel here. That has to rotate and shift down. And then your missile pods have to rotate 180 degrees and sit, and they'll actually tab into the underside there. All right, so now it's time to make some money. And I'm only going to do this on camera so many times. But basically, the tabs that we pulled out of the feet have to swing down and connect with the ports in the pelvis. And I am going to try this one. Okay. There we go. All right. So there's one, and I'm going to tab in this side. It's the upper peg. Oh, you didn't see any of that. It's the upper peg, or the upper hole rather, for the peg. Now, the other thing that has to be done is, let me just make sure. There is a tab here that needs to connect inside of that gray, and then this blue tab, this blue hip skirt needs to flip up. There's a port in here that connects to this tab. And that's how you know you kind of got it lined up right. All right, same on the other side. Let's see if I can just do that real quick. See? Peg. I'm not sure if that's lined up properly, honestly, but you get the idea. Now, this gets even harder because you had the free space to do one side, you know, and now you're not going to have it for the other side. So I'm going to try it once. We'll see. If not, you know the steps. You just have to repeat what I just did. I just like to give you an idea of like just how challenging it is. See, and I can't see anything I'm doing. So I'll try to get it off camera and show you, but that's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So here we are in a moment of truth. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen. I've tried to take every preparation to sort of make sure that things are lined up the best that they can be. And I'm just, I don't know. I don't feel good about it. I'll say that. I don't know if I have the pelvis completely locked in. I'm not sure that it'll matter. But here we go. So we're going to take this arm, right? And we're going to rotate at the shoulder down. And then we're gonna try to get these tabs here underneath. And then these keep my composure. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna try, man. I can't make any promises. I'll try to get the arms down off camera, because I'm gonna need to like sit with this and really mess with it, because it doesn't even seem like it's sitting flush for me. I've followed along with the directions the best I can. So let me see what I can do. But basically you need to get these arms down. These tabs here have to go into the bottom plates here. And then all of this stuff, you can see that goes there. This goes inside, I believe. Like, it's all got to line up. And I'm just not sure if I can do this on camera. So I actually thought this was misassembled at first. Couldn't be me, right? And I had to call Scott, and then Scott looked it up on Sony's review and got me squared away. So thanks to both of those gentlemen. All right, we need to sort these. I was under the impression that this might be misassembled because it looks like these are supposed to fill in each side. They don't. They split themselves and they go around the foot or the knee. So there is an extra little piece on the bottom side that has to come out. If you look at here, and it fills in that gap. And then same, unfortunately, for this side. And then this has to come down and around. Okay, just a ball peg. I'm not messing with it. Not worth it. And sit up. There. And here. And I just gotta find where the port is. All right. I'll mess with that a bit more. And then we have to do the same for the other side. So, and I hope I got... I don't know if this makes a difference where this bar is. But we'll see, I guess. All right. So, once again, we're going to split this. It's got to come out and around. This splits. There's a panel that has to flip around. Dude, this sucks. There. Fill in. And this sits over on this side and pegs in, but I got to get the panel out. Same that we did like the other one. And pegs into this side and pegs into the top Once again, I'll try to get this cleaned up and we'll come back and do the top piece. And then to finish it off, drop down your guns, fold them in. They tab on to one another. They tuck down. This piece comes around, spins around, and then just try to get it to fit. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. I'm done. And there it is. I mean, that's as close as I'm gonna get it. It's a frustrating experience, and it's not too different from how frustrating the Unicron was, to be honest. In fact, I think as the panels go, this might be more frustrating than the Unicron. And once again, there's not a core to like build around, so there's nothing to like put pressure against. So stuff has a tendency to kind of come undone, and so much of it relies on being perfectly aligned that like it's just constantly working against you. I mean, I've got it as close as I'm gonna get it, and I can mess with it. I've sat here and messed with it for like 15 minutes, and like I'll get a couple more panels here, and then I'll go to push an extra panel, and then 36 panels will fall out, you know, and it's like back to square one, you know. So it's just I'm done with it. I'm done with it for today. I'm done with it for the rest of my life, I think, to be honest. But the paint job is great. It looks beautiful. The accents and such. Also, some of this to be fair, some of this I'm not pushing it as far as I think I could if I owned it, because I really don't want to break Scott's toy or my streak. And like this one, like that panel there, I could probably, you know, but I don't want to mess with it because I don't want to make it any worse. Because like I said, sometimes I'll get a few panels, and then that'll make a few other panels pop out. You know, there's one that I could probably sort out if I wanted to. I can't even get these two connected. It's just, yeah, it's not fun, man. It's not fun, but it looks good. It'd probably look even better with the panels connected right, but also with all the kind of yellow bits and everything connected, you know, in the kind of towers and stuff sticking out of it, you know, it would look more dynamic, more epic, more, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't find it. Emotional's not the right word, but something like that. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. So, just like getting a... Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negative. So the head can't look down. That's an issue because it's a big robot and you kind of want him to look down almost all the time. My left thigh swivel only goes in one direction. My right thigh swivel works fine. But that's obviously a build issue. Individual results will vary, but you know, I suggest looking at yours. A lot of the connections are a bit scary. It's like they're fine, but it's like you really, like even like the feet going into the ankle connections, or I'm sorry, the feet going into the ankle connections, it's like you gotta really press to get it to kind of lock in. Same for the arm panels. There's a lot of that all over. I also don't like that you can't have the shoulders all the way up with the rockets kind of open. Like I've tried to do it here, and I'll tell you, like, I don't know if there's another joint. No, there's not. Like I kind of wish there was another joint in the shoulder where the arm could move independently of the shoulder pad. It's nice to have the shoulder pad option as well, but I wish there was a secondary option. And I mean, the big negative of this is just, it's just not fun. It's not fun to get from one mode to the other. The Hasbro one, like the Unicron, like doesn't have anywhere near the level of issues. And like the materials on these are all better than the Hasbro one. And you can argue the sculpt on the, you know, you can argue all that kind of stuff, but the Hasbro one's built well. Doesn't hide all the panels as well, so that's fair. But the process of going from one to the other is a lot, not even simpler, just user-friendly, engaging, fun, and intuitive. You know, there's just not anything positive I can really say about the process. The arms aren't terrible, I guess. Moving on to the positives, the hardware in this guy is great. Even the soft ratchets work really well. Remember we were looking at the hips? Soft ratchets in the hips, holding all that weight at 90 degrees every direction. Fantastic. And then the hardware is even better. The hard ratchets are even better. I think the paint is beautiful and the accents add so much. I'm sure the translucents only add more along with the spikes, but I'm already satisfied with the sculpt. So I don't really have any issues. I think the sculpt is fantastic. Knocked it out the box. Add that along with good, solid, clean paint work throughout, and it only makes a good thing better. I'm also surprised at just how good the articulation is. I love the two waist swivels. I know that seems redundant, but sometimes it can make a difference if you just move the chest versus the torso. So I actually like that a fair bit. You know, and to be fair, I think if you got it all lined up right, if you could set aside a week of your life to make sure it was all perfect, I think that you'd be happy with the planet mode. You know, but to be fair, it's a small planet mode too. You know, you'd probably be better if you wanted a Cybertron display for your like masterpiece collection specifically. You'd probably be better off like trying to build something yourself, like literally make something. But I don't know. That's me. I think it's fine if you want it in robot mode. I think it's fine if you're going to pay somebody to put it into planet mode. I think the process getting between the two sucks. I want them to make Predaking, and that's about how I feel. Not my favorite. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.